Welcome to day 9 of our craft along countdown to Christmas. Today we're going outside and we're going to make one of these beautiful planters. So hopefully you can find most of these supplies around your house. You're going to want to use a planter full of soil. I use this one for fall and summer. You're going to want evergreens, birch logs, dogwood twigs, and then pine cones. And I actually did buy my dogwood twigs from a local nursery, and they did give me a couple pieces of the scrap evergreen, but everything else was from our yard. So we're going to start by placing our birch logs. And just take your planter, dig a little hole where the birch log will fit, and then just try to get it down as far as you can in the planter so it stays up nice and upright. And then just take some of the soil and just kind of pat the birch logs in there so they're nice and upright. And then next we're going to just start placing the evergreen. So I'm just going to build around my logs. Keep it in mind that I do want part of the logs to show, so I'm going to try to put some in the front of my logs and do it on the sides, and then I'm going to put a lot of the evergreen in between the two logs. We will be adding one more birch log, so as long as they're kind of peeking out, we should be good. An assortment of greens would be gorgeous. I just use one type primarily, and I still really like how it turned out. So trim any areas that you think need it, and then we're going to move on to adding some highlight. So I had these dogwood branches that I got at the nursery, as I mentioned, and we're just going to fill those in to add a little bit of red contrasting with the green, and I think that looks nice for Christmas. And I'm also going to add some pine cones and berries to these twigs. So I have just this floral wire here, and I'm just going to twist that around the twig and the pine cone so that I get a couple little extra embellishments in my planter. And it works pretty well to just attach it right where there's a little branching shoot off of it so that it just kind of hangs on the little branch. I'm just going to add 3 of these larger pine cones, and then you can fill in wherever you feel like it looks best on your planter. And the pine cones really give you a focal point and add a little bit of depth to the planter, along with some browns, which is also a nice touch for Christmas. And then I've also seen a lot of planters with berries, and I didn't have any berries on hand, but I did have these little package of berries from the Dollar Tree, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to use those this year. Well, here we go. We're going to add them on to these dogwood branches and just add a little bit of pop of the red. Now you can get faux berries or real berries. The faux ones are probably more suited for these planters, but any of them work just fine, just to give you a little bit of more red and a little more pop of color. And I think that's just a nice compliment for Christmas. Just twisting those on worked fine for me. If you want a full written tutorial for this too, that's a little slower paced, you can always check out the full tutorial down below. Otherwise, that's really all there is to making these Christmas planters. I did fuss with it a little bit. I rearranged the pine cones a little. I trimmed some of the branches and just made sure that it looked exactly how I wanted it to. The last thing I did do was add a little birch log in the front of the planter, just so you see a little bit more of the birch, because I think that's just so pretty for Christmas. So I just added a small little birch log in the front, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it and hit that little red subscribe button down below so you don't miss future videos. Otherwise, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you tomorrow for day 10 of our countdown at awellpurposewoman.com. Thanks again for being here.